was just thinking, what was I just singing the other day? Nigga, you lied, nigga, you lied.
Flexing gon' slide on
Facts look on glide on them.
Facts. That's that shit. Alright, man, we gonna get the interview started right here. I got my boy, the man, the myth, you know, the Eastside lover, Dory Miller representative,
All day.
you know, TP4, Thomas Pierce, aka Muddy Puddles. That's what we got up
This your
here.
boy Muddy Puddles.
You feel me? You feel me?
Okay.
Right on, bruh. So, appreciate you doing the interview, bruh. You know, we locked in for life and all of that. Everybody know the story. I was around for a lot of your childhood. I can give a certain account from my perception as to what you went through and stuff that took account on or toll on you and your personality, your character. So, how was your childhood growing up on the East Side, and what made it enjoyable if it was enjoyable?
Man, my childhood was amazing. Like, just to start off with, because it's one thing being from the East Side and it's another thing being from the projects. The projects is automatically like a community of people, and having a community of people, every time you walked outside the door, it was kids already out there playing. You didn't have to go look for anything.
Yeah.
Everything was already there. So honestly, to me, I thought it was like the best childhood that anybody could live. I really don't know how other people had a childhood where they lived in a house and they had to go 2-3 blocks down and up the street to go chill with their friend. It was nothing like that where everybody was right there.
I'm happy you said that. So, I've had a few other interviews from a few guys from the East Side of Gary, and even, you know, branching out to the West Side and things like that. Older people, younger people. But how do you feel about that? I like your perspective on the projects and, you know, people that live close together, people that have camaraderie. You know, you don't have to go far to see your friends, your family, stuff like that. So when they tore down these projects, how did that make you feel coming from Dory Miller? Did it feel like it took a part of you? Did you feel like it was better for the city as far as perception? How do you feel like how do you feel like that unraveled once they tore them down?
Honestly speaking, I got two feelings about it. One, me being from there, it did take a part of me. That's the foundation of any and everything that we all learn coming from Dory Miller. And coming from any type of hood, you tear down anybody's hood, the foundation is gone. But the people and the legacy still lives on. The second part about it, did it help the city and everything? Like, it's there to help the city advance. I know this because obviously we're older. You kind of seen some things change, and you want to see new things change. And so I think it is best for the city that they did tear it down. But again, man, that hurts.
Yeah, for sure.
The legacy live on.
Yeah, because like I said, there's different perspectives on that. You know, some people think if you take away the ugly, there's things you can see or what they perceive to be ugly, you know, because the perception of a project or anywhere we looked at like that, any type of hood that they feel like people in poverty, anything like that, they look at it like it's something that people shouldn't see from the outside,
right.
Out of towners, you know, when they running through Gary. Let's tear down these projects. But like you said, so much good was bred from that, man. So much, like mostly everybody I done met coming up came from the Jets, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, and it was all good people. Like, you know, everybody got their flaws, everybody got their tempers, you know what I'm saying? Everybody got shit that they won't, you know, shit that they take as disrespect or a line that people can't cross. But at the end of the day, like, these were good people, you know what I'm saying? Real good 100%. People. Yeah, so I always talk about the generational difference in certain things that went on in Gary. So you got the stereotype of the murder cap, you know what I'm saying? So we're going to talk about that first. How was life for you coming from Dory Miller and just living outside of that stereotype? When I say outside of the stereotype, I just mean from the outside looking in. I mean, we know we're called that murder capital, this, and that, all of these stereotypes, but how do you really feel like Gary was perceived under that murder capital title?
I think it was honestly like, I think it's overrated to call us the murder cap. I understand that it was a lot going on at that time, and if I'm not mistaken, the murder cap, we got that in 91.
Yeah, 90s.
I could tell you a story about 91 that involves my family, but if anybody knows anything about around 91, that time frame, it was a lot of drugs floating around here. But that's what happens when you have so much stuff like that floating around. You gonna get the bad as well with that. With what comes with that.
Mhm.
But other than that, though, I don't think it still has the stigma of, oh, this is the murder cap. Like, this is a small community. It's 80,000 people here.
Mhm.
Are you kidding me? 80,000 people. This is a very small community versus going to Indianapolis. There's 450,000 people there. Going to Atlanta, there's over 2 million people over there.
Yeah.
So the sense of community here is extremely strong. Everybody knows everybody, and they don't understand how that is like gold to a community or a town or any type of business or anything like that to thrive.
For sure.
So that's how I feel about it.
Yeah, that's good insight. Touching more on that, just expounding on that, the generational difference between, you know, what we used to beef about, the stuff we used to talk about, you know what I'm saying? So, like I said, when we was coming up, me and you per se, it was more about territory, east side, west side, you know, stuff like that. So what was your perception of that coming up?
Man.
We got them stories, boy.
It's so many of those stories.
Yeah.
And like starting off, it was, well, we came into it, it was the east side versus west side thing. But if we looking like way back, rest in peace, Lil Dennis. Like Lil Dennis ended up starting up this gang called KOB, Knockout Boys. This is way back when. And it wasn't no east side versus west side. It was the Knockout Boys versus any and everybody else.
Yeah.
And then like as we continued to like walk around the entire east side, like we was riding our bikes over there, the Miller and Edna, like we was doing all type of crazy stuff, man. Then that's when we really started to form that east side type of bond. But man, that east side, west side beef, it was crazy, man. All over the place. The next thing you know, you beefing with the Laney guys, and I look up like, dang man, y'all beefing with Bottom Side too. I'm like, man, what? For what? What are we doing?
Yeah, what we doing?
I don't know, what am I getting myself into, man? But
yeah.
You know, coming from the projects, you gotta ride either way. So
for sure. Since you grew up on that side of town, like me, I'm from the quarter, I'm from 25th. So on my side of town, we had different candy stores, we had different stuff we used to go to, but we went to Pulaski. So I had a couple people give a certain answer. So I just want to see what answer you give as far as what was your favorite candy store on the east side?
It would definitely have to be Charlie's, mainly because all of us went to Pulaski.
Right on.
Everybody went to Pulaski. If during the summertime, we weren't going to Charlie's. We were hitting up Four Brothers and Easy Go.
Yeah.
So those are our stores, and we had a couple that was up in the hood too. You know, TC had her own little candy store up in there. Shoot, we had a bunch of stuff that was already in the hood.
Yeah. For sure. That's why I usually ask, because, you know, everybody got the little pop-up shops in the hood.
Everybody, man.
Yeah, you know.
I told you, it's a community. You ain't got to go too far.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? You get the candy for cheap. You know, the 25 cents, get your whole bag of fruities back then. You know what I'm saying? Ain't like that now, bro. Ain't like that.
Not at all.
So, as far as your upbringing, I know a lot of people say that upbringing builds character. Other people were traumatized by the upbringing. Other people think that stunted their growth. You know what I'm saying? So, what do you feel like about your upbringing? Would you change anything, or do you feel like that's what made you who you are?
I wouldn't change anything about my upbringing. I honestly, I was put in a predicament where I had to adapt and don't take anything for granted. I understood and I knew where I came from. Dora Miller, growing up, a lot of people didn't have a lot of stuff. I mean, I had friends that was raising themselves in elementary. Him and his brother, we can talk about that off camera.
For sure.
While their mom was like under huge mental stress, like, and had mental health disorders. So like I said, I don't take anything for granted, because my other side of my family, I could leave the projects whenever and it'll be like a whole different ball game. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
A whole different life. I'm going on trips all. I done been to Disney World probably like 5-6 times, and I haven't even graduated high school at that point yet. Cruises and everything. So I don't take anything for granted. I respect all walks of life, man. So I wouldn't change anything about my upbringing. For
sure. Just because you saying well, I'm gonna piggyback off of what you said about, you know, going to another side of your family and you seeing something different. So because you were able to see something different, do you feel like that molded you better? And when I say that, I'm going into my next question by saying, do you know a lot of successful people coming from Gary, Indiana, or the east side of Gary that influenced you? You know, like you said, you saw that other side and it kind of woke you up like, man, it ain't just about the hood. You know what I'm saying? So do you know any successful people from the east side of Gary?
Man, I know a lot lot of successful people from the east side of Gary. And the reason why I do know so many of them is because of my mom. But mostly she put me around a lot of people who had a business type of mindset.
Right on.
And I've always been in love with business. I've always been in love with how things operate. So I know quite a bit of successful people, and that's like what made me want to go out there and do more. I mean, drugs, it's so easy to get into the drug game in Gary, Indiana. I mean, it's the easiest thing out here. But can you build an empire out of it? You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
And I say that because the same person who was a drug kingpin or whatever could go run a Fortune 500 company. The only difference is one product is illegal and the other product is legal. But the mindset is still the same, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I had that same type of mentality too. I wanted that. So that's why I took a liking to a lot of people who handled their business and kept moving.
Yeah, for sure, man. That's a great answer. I know a lot of people gonna see the camera, they already know who you are. But just explain as far as sports, basketball, how was that for you coming up? Rivalries, things like that. I know. What high school did you go to? You know, I know that's a trick question, but you know.
Money. Anybody you put in front of me was dog food. What you mean?
Right on, yes sir, yes sir.
Okay. No, but I'll start from the beginning. Back when I was younger, I was short, very short. Had a lot of heart. I was getting dunked on left and right from everybody from the hood. Jeff, Hammer, Milton, Taiwan, everybody, you name it.
Yeah.
But everything changed and turned around come my junior year. Came back from Atlanta, sprouted up like 6 inches, came back 6'4". Nobody could touch me at that point in time. I was just like sprouting like crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But Dora Miller, it put that dog in you. Like nothing hurts. You gotta fight through pain. You gotta fight through getting beat up out there, bloody nose. And that was just like my mindset for basketball and going forward in life.
Yeah.
Everything else, oh, trust me, it can be much worse.
Mm-hmm.
But that right there, that mindset, that's what took me to California and got me my full ride scholarship over there to Concordia in Portland.
Yes, sir.
But man, people loved me.
Yeah.
It was so crazy where my college coach from California, he was like, I need about 3, 4, 5 more of you.
Oh, hell yeah.
Next year, as soon as I left, he took that trip all the way out here to Gary. He was like, I don't care, I'm going to go get him.
Yeah.
And he ended up getting my boy Allen Wilchin. Allen ended up becoming like co-MVP of the state of California that next year.
That's dope.
Serious.
That's dope.
So yeah.
Right on, man. That dog mentality. I talk about that in the way you did and in the sense you did, and also in a sense from a child standpoint. I know you don't have kids currently, but you raise kids. I mean, you've probably been around kids, cousins, little sisters, stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, do you feel like it's kind of like the other question that I asked? So like, based on you growing up in your environment, you have a certain street smarts. You got a certain dog in you that, you can take certain stuff, a certain tough skin. Now, with me having kids now, when I'm raising my kids, they're not raised in that dog environment. I got to try to put the dog in them from a distance. Yeah. So do you feel like that's effective on our kids today, especially our kids on the east side, because of how we grew up? Now, certain people don't have a strong mentality, to deal with it, because we do have horror stories, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, that built us. We can take certain things, we can do things that people can't do. So from your perspective, do you feel like kids need that to be in that environment to get that, or can you instill that in them?
You can still instill that in them. The way that we were brought up off of survival. We're past that. I can definitely speak for you and myself. Like we're past the survival stage at this point. Like that's why now I see the way that you and Patrice raise your kids. Y'all raise your children with love.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And it shows in how they actually act and stuff like that. And I take that same thing, whatever kid that I'm around, I still instill that love into them, because that's very important. Not just giving them I'm just gonna feed you and send you off to school. Like that doesn't do anything, because at that point then they're learning from everything else on the outside of the world. You know what I mean? They can connect to everything else, but they need to be more connected to us. We've already been there. We've been through the walks of life. If it wasn't something that we didn't get in our childhood, we're probably giving that to our child now. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So I pay heavy attention to that. I don't have any kids right now. I got a lot of nieces and nephews, and I got a business that works a lot with kids. So I already know.
Hell yeah, yeah, that's dope. Anything you would like to say to Gary? When I say that, just how can we better Gary? I know it's a lot of things we're doing. We already spoke about tearing down the projects. They build new things. They trying to revitalize this and revitalize that. But from your end and our age group, what do you feel like can affect our community, the Black community, the best in Gary for change?
Yeah, Gary is 80% Black. If anybody know anything about Tulsa, go look it up. And that just shows there that there is it's a lot of pillars that are needed to like see a city like completely grow. You need a strong community. Gary has that check. Small, Gary has that check. It also needs the people to let go of their ego. They don't have that. Everybody, this person has this. It's like a very materialistic type of mindset. That it needs to get out of the way. That needs to stop.
Yeah.
Like it's down to the point where it's so much. This city is gold, man, and they don't know it. It is like gold in a gold mine that's hidden so deep it's ridiculous. They don't know how to tap into it. I would love to tap into it because it's too many people out here, man, for this city not to be thriving the way it is. We're on a lake right here. Miller is just right there at come on now. And the income disparity is huge. You can go out there in Miller, you're seeing what, 800,000, 900,000, mill 0.5 houses and stuff like that. And the next street over, you got a house for 30,000. That don't even make logical sense.
Every block,
you know
bro.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Every block. And so that lets you know what type of gold mine this is. Not just for houses, we're talking about manufacturing as well. Like people don't understand the type of jobs or economic benefits that this city could really have. The steel mill built this city strictly for housing for their workers to go to the steel mill. So they already set up an infrastructure for other manufacturers to come in and go ahead and do shop. But we got to be smart about it. Let go of our egos and go ahead and advance. So
hella dope, bro. Hella dope.
Seriously.
Yeah, man. I mean, you done gave the people everything they wanted to hear, bro. Like I say, dope conversations with dope people. Just give your name to the camera, give your salutations, and then we'll wrap them on up.
Muddy Puddles, manager of the Little People Collective.
You did.
You already know, man.
You did.
We gone.
Eastside.